this one's wife. Harry, tell me, how does it feel? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. An interesting article a few days ago appeared in The Guardian, which was written by Marina Hyde. And this shows a delicious irony for what has happened to Harry with the recent scandals. Marina Hyde writes, "Straight faces, please, as we try to look charitably at the toxic row engulfing Prince Harry's charity. Are you up to speed with this everyday story of giving folk? I'm in such a muddle with it all that I can't remember if I'm allowed to say that purely from my observations of her telly-interviews, Sentebale chair Sophie Chandauka does seem like a right old loose cannon. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's do a quick recap. Sentebale is a charity to help children and young people with HIV and AIDS in Lesotho and Botswana, and was set up almost 2 decades ago by Prince Harry and Princess of Lesotho in honour of their mothers. Its current chair is Chandauka, a Zimbabwean lawyer, and something about her stewardship of the charities provoked its entire board of trustees to judge that their relationship has broken down irretrievably. Accordingly, they have all resigned. Chandauka in turn has said that the charity was riddled with poor governance, weak executive management, abuse of power, bullying, harassment, misogyny and misogynoir, and accused Prince Harry of harassment and bullying at scale. Oh dear. As I say, she does seem quite like hard work. Poor Prince Harry. It must be difficult having something you've served as a custodian of for a long time, only for some publicity incontinent member of it to go on a full-spectrum media rampage, airing a load of dirty linen, but leaving you feeling like you have to bite your tongue because you can't really win against the specific types of identity-based accusations they're making against you. What a delightful sentence that is, because, as you'll have recognised, that is precisely what Harry and this one's wife did themselves. The Queen served as custodian of the monarchy, and she did so for a long time. And then 2 publicity-incompetent members of it went on a full-spectrum media rampage, and they went and aired a load of dirty linen. But the Queen and other senior members of the royal family had to bite their tongues because they recognised they couldn't win against the specific types of identity-based accusations that this one's wife was making with regard to racism. And now, in a delicious piece of irony, this one's wife and Harry find themselves in a similar situation. Harry, custodian of his organisation, finds that he has a chairperson who has gone on a media rampage and that she's aired some dirty linen, and it doesn't make him and this one's wife look good, but in effect they've had to bite their tongues because they can't say anything about her, essentially because of the identity-based accusations. The very things that they have traded in have come back to bite them on the backside. In fact, saying anything at all will probably just make it all worse and ensure it goes on for much longer. At present, Prince Harry has kept a stiff upper lip and declined to complain or explain, but it's possible that at some point he's going to have to offer a concisely Delphic statement in an attempt to draw a line under the whole business. Impossible to pluck the perfect phrase out of the air, of course, but I'd go with something like, "Recollections may vary." And in case that wasn't clear, in the interest not of balance, but of accuracy, we do have to state that Prince Harry seems like quite hard work too. Likewise, his wife. Meanwhile, it goes without saying that despite its brevity, the above paragraph will serve as the twat signal to the so-called Sussex squad, a hilarious cavalcade of single-issue human beings who patrol the internet round the clock, policing any and all criticism of the Monty Shit Show millionaire couple, who ironically need expensive security, in part to deal with nutjob fans like them. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but only vaguely. The squad also does a lot of other valuable work, like explaining that laughing at this one's wife's ridiculous Netflix lifestyle show is racist. Anyway, because of all of this, I did wonder how they would readjust themselves to the Sentebale blow-up, given that at its heart is a black woman making accusations of bullying and racism. Inevitably, and indeed amusingly, there has been a new bending of reality. Humans, particularly single-issue ones, really are so incredibly resourceful, and I'm hugely enjoying the Sussex squad's latest mad conspiracy theory that Sentebale's newest trustee, Ian Rawlinson, is someone who, between 10 and 20 years ago, served as a chair of Prince William's Conservation Charity, and consequently can only be a formal plant by Harry's brother. The theory suggests that Rawlinson is deliberately sabotaging Sentebale, and the Sussex is on the order of the Prince of Wales. Do I have to even run the denial here? To be clear, I imagine both Ian and the Prince of Wales would rubbish these claims. Still, it's some more yarn to pin up across the squad's investigation wall, which already resembles one of those webs spun by a spider, which has ingested considerable quantities of LSD. Again, in the interest of running comprehensive denials, I imagine the spider would rubbish that claim and insist it had taken nothing stronger than a fly. As for the allegations buzzing around between the Chandoka and Sussex camps, they're becoming more gothically petty by the day, and as you'd expect, we haven't heard the last of them yet. They include, but are no means limited to, Harry writes high-handed emails, Sophie has done a predictable publicity stunt, this one's wife made Sentebale lose a good price on a venue for a polo game, this one's wife spent too much time talking to her friend Serena Williams at the polo game, Sophie wouldn't publicly defend this one's wife after some impenetrable hokey-cokey about where people were standing on a stage when the trophy for the polo game was handed out. And on it goes. It does seem absolutely mad that there is a charity to help some of the world's poorest children living with the blight of life-threatening disease, when the true victims in all of this seem to be very senior professional royal people who simply can't work with each other without explosive fallouts and worldwide publicity tours. Could there not be a much more worthwhile charity set up to help all these people in positions of power and influence when things go wrong at work, instead of children who, let's face it, aren't subject to anything like the same pressures? Call it Sentana Explosive Interview, and I'm sure the donations would flood right on in. Marina Hyde absolutely on the money there in highlighting the ridiculousness and the hypocrisy of Harry and this one's wife in bleating about their own problems when it's the charity's beneficiaries who ought to be helped. How does it feel, Harry, now that the shoe is on the other foot? How does it feel when you find that your institution that you were involved with finds itself on the receiving end of public criticism? Harry's too thick to realise the comparisons. Although he'll whinge about how it's happening to him, he won't be able to join the dots to realise that's exactly how he and his wife have behaved in respect of the monarchy. But this excellent article demonstrates that even a left-leaning publication such as The Guardian, which you might think would be anti-royal and anti-monarchist, identifies the problematic behaviours of Harry and this one's wife, and also demonstrates the ridiculous behaviours of the Sussex squad. Harry is highlighted for demonstrating that he is engaged in the very behaviours that Sophie Chandoka has done, and he's on the receiving end of it. Naturally, he whines about it. It feels like he's lost a finger, and he has to roll out his Eton chum to spout a load of rubbish that he's been briefed with by this one's wife. Naturally, the victimhood will be high once again. But I brought this to your attention to highlight that there are journalists out there who very much get it, and also to identify that delicious irony. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.